Previously on Libel the Bible.
I expose my litmus test for human worth.
I expose my litmus test for feedback.
Abigail exposes her litmus test of giant heaving bosoms.
David exposes himself. Nah, just kidding. But he does marry the heaving bosom lady.
We get another version of Saul's attack on David.
Scott's enraged by David's war crimes.
Achish states that David will never be loved by the Israelites and declares David as his slave.
And now, episode 81 of Libel the Bible.
Me anyway, you just fucking do it.
I'm doing it right now.
Doing what right now?
Press the record button. We're on the air.
Oh.
So sure, dead air. It's a new experiment that we're starting. We're just gonna sit here for an hour and not really say anything. We're gonna play cards, and we want to see if we gain listeners.
Yo, man, I'm sorry. I started dozing off, man. We started really late tonight, man.
I'm Rusty.
I am Scott, and I get what I get, and I don't get upset.
I get very upset.
I kind of get upset too.
As
man.
Guy and I.
I think if I got to look back at all the titles I've given myself and like come clean, like and find out like how many of them are lies. They're just fucking lies. Well, like I'm not the master of potions.
Well,
I don't keep any keys, and I do get upset when I get what I get. So I don't know how fucking genuine I am, man.
In fairness, do you think people are taking any of those titles seriously?
You don't think someone's like, oh, I know that guy Scott. Yeah, he's the keeper of the keys, man.
You're not like one of those like people that's like signing next to the mayor during like an emergency and faking the fact that they're signing. You know what I mean? I don't think people are coming to you for any kind of serious advice.
Oh, so I'm not a serious person. Not to be taken seriously.
What's the name of the show, Scott?
Libel the Bible.
Exactly. I don't think anybody should be taking this seriously.
How are our Libelites doing, man? Have you heard from any Libelites lately?
No, I haven't heard from any Libelites
so
lately.
You pissed off the last
Is
one.
that what we're calling them? We're calling them Libelites?
We got to call them something.
Yeah, but you unilaterally all of a sudden dropped that name in.
Yo.
Was it a test? Were you testing that name out? Because if you were testing that name out,
no.
I'm going to put an end to that shit
now. No. Here's what it is. Yes, I'm decreeing that our listeners, as well as ourselves, are Libelites. Until someone comes up with something better. You don't get to cancel. You don't get to repeal and replace Obamacare without something to replace it with. So you don't get to repeal and replace Libelites without something to replace it with. You can't repeal it without a replacement.
All right. So I'm just going to say this, and then we can move on. You are very lucky that I don't have the brain capacity tonight to argue with you, because if I did, I would have a perfect response to that. That would last probably at least 10 or 15 minutes.
What are you going to say? Something
what?
You're going to say something like, no, that's bullshit. We can't take guns away. We can't restrict guns in any way. Well, what is the solution? Well, I don't have one, but your solution's bullshit. Well, how about we try mine until you come up with something better? Because doing nothing ain't working.
All right.
So we either call them Libelites or Thoughts and Prayers. What do you want to call them? Thoughts and Prayersites.
All right. So the working title is Libelite. Scott has won his case simply through exhausting me beyond caring.
Yeah.
Good job, Scott.
Thanks,
so Libelite. So welcome, Libelites.
All right. When you say it like that, it's not very appealing. But listen,
okay, well.
Until you come up with something better.
Listen, one of the most beloved mascots in all of professional sports now is a mascot named Gritty. Do you know Gritty?
I have no idea.
Okay. Gritty was this like giant orange bug-eyed monster who became a mascot like 4 or 5 years ago for the Flyers, the Philadelphia Flyers in the NHL. And everyone thought it was the worst goddamn thing in the world. And within like a year, everyone was in love with Gritty because...
Is he like a triangle shape?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's like a big like Grimace, but not like he's more fuzzy than Grimace. And he's orange and he's got big bug eyes and he wears like Flyers gear.
Okay.
You know? But the point is this. People fucking love this guy because Gritty, he's crazy because of the bug eyes and the way he looks. Like, whoever plays Gritty took advantage of the look And what people goofed on, he turned it into like a psychopath. So Gritty is like a psychopathic sort of like mascot, you know?
Great.
So think of like the Philly Fanatic with a gun, kind of, you know? Like that kind of thing.
The Philly Fanatic, now that's a freak right there.
So my point is that right now, we're calling them Libelites and everyone's laughing, right? But really, you're going to be proven to be a genius. It's going to catch on.
All right, who's laughing, though?
I'm laughing.
Nobody's even heard this yet.
I mean, I hope our audience is laughing. We're 4 minutes in. Like, someone should have laughed by now. Because if they're not laughing and we're, like, almost 5 minutes in, it's a problem.
So you're saying this is a comedy show? We're trying to make people laugh? It's a serious discussion about serious matters.
I mean...
Humor might come along with it, but that's not the goal of the show. Especially, you know my track record on telling jokes, man. They flop miserably.
Well, at the airports. Not here. The audience loves you here.
Oh, all right, good to hear.
I mean, but they're measuring you against me, so it's not that hard for you to be beloved when I'm, like, across from you.
Yeah, the bar's pretty low.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty odious to people, you know?
Yeah. So, in a follow-up to something that we may have discussed previously, my outrage at not being able to make fucking pizza correctly.
Okay. I don't
right.
remember that.
You don't remember me going off on the guy in the pizzeria saying, like, you're giving me burnt pizza?
Yeah, but that's not what you just said. You just said
What did I say?
me making pizza correctly.
Oh.
I went off on a rant about me making pizza correctly.
I don't know if any of that was said, but let's just start over.
I mean,
you remember
we
my
recorded
rant,
it.
You remember the rant I made about pizza, right?
Yes.
And the lack of ability, like 4 fucking ingredients, you can't get it right.
Absolutely.
So you know they're still digging out Pompeii, right? They still have archaeological shit going on in Pompeii, like thousands of fucking years after this damn thing erupted.
I assume they're digging extremely slowly, not to disturb anything, so it probably is going to take a long
Really?
time.
You don't think it's that Mediterranean lifestyle where you work for an hour, you sleep for an hour, you work for an hour, you drink a bottle of wine.
Jesus,
you don't think it's
God.
that? You don't think it's that?
All right, I didn't think you went there.
Yeah, Jesus.
You sound like the senator from Godfather 2, remember, like in the Lake Tahoe house, when he's like, your type's coming around here.
I don't know it,
with
man.
your greasy hair and your olive oil voice.
I wasn't talking about the way they look. I was talking about their poor work ethic.
All right. So,
anyway, so they're digging out Pompeii still.
Yeah.
They came across a fresco, which is like a painting on a wall, basically.
Yeah.
And
not basically, like that's what a fresco
and they
is.
found like a possible pizza ancestor. They had a picture of like on a table a round flatbread with like fruits and shit on top of it. I don't know, fruits and vegetables.
Right.
All right. They didn't have tomatoes
Was
at the
there
time.
like a picture of like Frank Sinatra on the wall?
And some guy
or
came
Joe
in,
DiMaggio?
Somebody came in and said, "Yo, how come there's no black guys on the wall, man?"
Right.
So
That's a do the right thing reference for everyone out there.
yeah. So de-energizes. So anyway, they found a picture of basically an ancient pizza from 2,000 fucking years ago. Again, no cheese, no tomatoes, because they didn't do that back
Not for
then.
nothing, but Pompeii seemed like a super fucking cool place to have fucking live. They had like everything in Pompeii. Like based on like the fucking graffiti that they had and just like, you know, the frozen people that they found doing like all different things.
Next time I go to a pizzeria and get served a shitty pizza, I'm going to say they found a Pompeian frozen in fucking dust making a better pizza than you just fucking served
I would
me.
rather eat the picture. I would rather eat the wall, the fresco picture, than your shitty pizza.
And not have a glass of water wash it down with.
Yeah. I gotta say, pizza in New York, man,
We
is
did this.
now
I just
the
wanted-
most overrated thing
I
ever.
just wanted to follow up on that
Yeah.
because I was definitely thinking like, what the F?
I'll tell you this. So, my boy Noah, he finished a season of hockey, and he got burnt out. He's like, he puts his entire heart into it. Like he
I like
really
that, though.
he competes, but like to an inappropriate level. So we're trying to he's a thoroughbred that needs to be like reined in emotionally.
Yeah.
So he got burned out from playing hockey. So he's still into playing hockey, but he says he doesn't want to play league. What he's recently gotten into is tennis. So I went out and I got, we all got rackets. So Amy got a racket, I got a racket, Noah got a racket. So for those in the audience,
Watch out for them RICO charges.
because of rackets, right? Yeah. That's good, man. That's good, Scott. Thank you for explaining that. I definitely would have only caught that on the replay.
Yeah.
And I would have quickly ignored it on the replay also.
You should have ignored it here. Keep it moving. So you got rackets.
See, we got the rackets. Now, for those of you in the audience who don't know, back in my adolescence, like early adolescence into late adolescence, I played tennis at like a fairly high level, like, you know, for like, I would say like in the world, I was top 1%. If there were 4 billion people in the world, you know, I was, what's 4 million is like 1%. I was top 1% tennis player in the world, at least.
So you were better at playing tennis than we are at podcasting. Because we're only like top 10% of a podcaster.
Well, podcasting is subjective. You know what I mean? Whereas tennis is a little more objective because there's a score. There's like an actual rules, and this is just people's taste.
Okay.
So we deserve to be in the 0.5% of the top fucking podcast.
Hey, I get what I get, and I don't get upset, right?
Yeah. Go listen to that piece of shit podcast that fucking any celebrity has. Listen, Joe Rogan, I'll tell you this about Joe Rogan.
I just want his audience, man. I have no beef with him.
He's a complete idiot. Joe Rogan's a complete idiot.
I don't even know him, man. I don't even know him.
He's curious. And that's what makes him dangerous. Because he's so popular, people go on there because he has such a large audience, and he's curious. He doesn't really have an agenda, and people just fill his head with like conspiracies and nonsense, and like because he's a curious guy, like he absorbs that, you know?
I don't want to go off on tangents, so get back to your rackets.
So I was a pretty good tennis player, so now my son, he's gotten into tennis all of a sudden. Like a few months ago, he was like, out of nowhere, he was like, I want to play tennis. And now, like, he's been watching Wimbledon. Wimbledon just ended, so he was watching that. So we went out and got rackets. But rather than going to the tennis court, because I grew up on courts, I know, rather than going to a tennis court where fucking, you know, you buy 3 balls, he's going to take 3 swings, and then you're going to spend the next, like, minute and a half going after the ball. Then you're going to throw it to him. He's going to hit it again because he's not going to hit it to you. You understand?
Gotcha.
There's not going to be any rallies. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be...
Yeah, so he's got to learn how to swing the racket
So we went
first.
to a handball court.
Well, that makes sense.
So we're playing against a handball court. So he's learning technique. I'm teaching him technique. You know, I'm teaching him forehand, how to grip the forehand, about the follow-through footwork. So he's playing against the wall. So we're all playing against the wall. So all this, the whole lead-up was to the fact that I am now at that age where fucking moving is not something I want to do. And I can't figure out if it's because I'm at that age or if it's because I've been so sedentary, which I really haven't lately, because I spent like the entire season playing hockey from September to like fucking June. I played hockey. Like every week I was playing hockey. So not that sedentary, but like on the court, you know, like stomping around and swinging a racket and like all of that. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to like move, and I could see why people play pickleball or whatever that's called now. Pickleball? Yeah, pickleball.
Nah, okay, listen, man. You're always like an athletic type. It'll come back to you if you have to tough it out for your kid.
It's not about like coming back to me. It's about my body, like not being there anymore, and the frustration.
Dude, you don't have to tell me, man. I have been sedentary, so now I just started getting on my bike, riding a little bit, and dude, it's exhausting. Like it's nothing for my heart rate to hit 165. Pedaling 5 blocks.
Yes, for me, it's not so much it's not the cardio for me, especially now that I'm not smoking. For me, it's more about the aches and pains of like my lower back or like my joints or, you know what I mean? Like that's what it is for me.
Practice some self-care, man.
What's
Go take a hot shower, a hot bubble bath. Go get some acupuncture.
Well, I take hot showers.
That's standing up. You need to like relax and chill.
Like a sitting shower?
Yeah, they call it a bath.
That's gross, man.
It's totally
a
gross.
bath is just like laying in your own fucking dirty water. Why do people take baths?
Shower first, get clean, then fill up the bathtub and lay in clean water.
I don't want to lay in a bath after I shower.
Listen to you. I don't want to.
I'm just saying. Now you're coming up with like rationale for your shitty idea.
All right.
Baths. No, really.
All right, don't bathe.
No, I'm going to say this. if any of our Libelites, that's what we're calling them.
Yeah, that's what we're calling them. That's what they're called.
That was genuine. That wasn't a snarky. That wasn't snarky. That was genuine. I forgot for a second.
It's all right. Go ahead.
I mean, the context of me forgetting is not unbelievable, right, Scott?
No, you forgot what time we fucking start recording tonight.
Okay, I did not forget. We had that conversation ahead of time. All right. So now I'm off my game. Now I forgot. Now I'm off track.
So the handball wall is going to beat you, right?
So I'm just,
Yeah, you're at that age, man. I hear you. All right. With that, I'm going to segue a little into the Bible here.
Really?
So I was hanging out with some neighbors, and they were drunk.
It's already a problem. I already foresee a major problem.
They're already drunk. So somebody exclaimed "Oh, Jesus Christ!" I was like, "Hey, speaking of Jesus Christ, have you heard about the popular podcast called Libel the Bible?" Guy already knows I have a podcast. So I broke to him that
what?
I broke it to him that David.
You brokered to him?
Broke it to him.
Oh, broke it. Oh, okay. Like bad news.
That
Okay.
Davy and Goliath, Davy and Goliath fame, Davy was gay.
Was gay.
All right. Then I was like, maybe he wasn't gay, but he was definitely experimental.
We
in
had
gay
this
things.
conversation.
We did, right?
Yeah.
So I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So we followed up. I ran into that same neighbor today, and his wife was telling me that when they were growing up, they go to church all the time. They were not allowed to read the Bible. So I said, what do you mean you weren't allowed to read the Bible? And she's like, yeah, because it had to be spoon-fed to us in the way the Catholic Church wanted to spoon-feed it to us. We were not allowed to read the Bible as children. Late 50s.
Okay.
Just thought it was interesting.
Do you know why I ask?
No.
So I don't know if you're aware of this, but up until the 50s, late 50s, I would say, late 50s.
It was in Latin.
Bibles were in Latin.
Right. You had mentioned that.
And then they had that big convention in the 1960s called by one of these popes. And one of the things that came out, because they were trying to modernize, they were losing fucking Catholics around the world.
Well, I was under the assumption that it wasn't because it was written in a foreign language. It was about
they were
control
just hiding it from them.
Yeah, I just thought it was pretty interesting.
So that was it. You didn't have any response to that. You didn't say anything. There were no follow-up questions. You just listened to that information and went on to whatever pizza conversation.
It literally happened 5 minutes before you got here tonight.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't really have time to get into it, but I just thought it was.
You should have invited them in, man. We could have fucking had our first guest impromptu.
I mentioned that to her husband. You all right, man?
Yeah, that was more perfect. Impromptu guests.
Yeah. We almost had one. Yeah, because he said he was going to start reading the Bible.
Oh, it's a he.
No, well, it was both of them. It was he and she.
Oh, why wouldn't you? Well, so why he? Why not she?
Because he said he wanted to start taking up. All right, so there's more to the story. He said to her, apparently, when they were on vacation, you know what? I'm going to start reading the Bible. And she was like, why don't you just hang out with the guy next door and read it every week on that fucking podcast he talks about?
I know the couple you're talking about. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. And I'm glad you pushed me because I don't know if I was even going to get to that part of it.
Right. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
You should tell him don't even read the Bible. Just listen to the fucking show.
Yeah, we'll spoon feed you what you need to hear.
You'll have some fucking laughs and you'll fucking learn all about the Bible.
And you know what? We don't even spoon feed anymore. We read the whole fucking thing now.
Yeah.
So best of both worlds, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. You want to get into the Bible?
Yeah, I guess, man.
All right. So I mislabeled the episode that we uploaded, episode 80. I mislabeled it going up to Samuel 28, but it actually only goes up to Samuel 27. First Samuel 27. So today we will be doing 1 Samuel 28, if there has been any confusion.
And it's one of them chapters that I feel like the first paragraph should have belonged to the previous chapter anyway.
Right. There's no heading. Right.
Yeah,
so for those of you, with your Bibles, we will. Why are you laughing? You're the one that's always pushing, this is a serious, biblical discussion show.
I was thinking,
and
of
I'm
something.
always the one shitting on it, but yet here you are laughing.
I was thinking about Q-Bert not being able to turn the lights off on the pyramid.
Almost like you're fucking gaslighting me and the audience.
Yeah.
What's your agenda, Scott?
What is my agenda?
Exactly.
What is my end game here? Because I don't see why I'm doing it. This is episode 81.
Forget your
81
end game.
fucking
What's
weeks?
your
What?
exit strategy? That's what you should be worried
I
about.
don't know. You'll just, like everyone else in my life, you'll just fade away and leave me.
That went fucking dark real fast. All right. Well, I mean, I haven't faded away yet. So, like, you know, I've known you for quite many years.
Yeah, the good ones fucking fade away. Bad ones never go away.
That's fucked up shit, man. Yeah. All right. You ready? 1 Samuel 28. In those days. What are you laughing at?
Just nothing, man. Yo, man, focus.
I'm reading. In those days, the Philistines gathered their forces for war to fight against Israel. Achish said to David, "You know, of course, that you and your men are to go out with me in the army." David said to Achish, "Very well. Then you shall know what your servant can do." Achish said to David, "Very well. I will make you my bodyguard for life."
Who the fuck was Achish again? Is he a king?
So it was in our previously on. For some reason, Achish was like a Philistine king that David made like a pact with for whatever reason. I don't remember why. And then he fucking massacred all these people. You went off like on a rant about like David, how he's like worse than a southern general, right? And fucking Achish was like, because David went to war against his own people, they will never fucking love him. They will never respect him. He is now my fucking slave. We did that actually in our previous on. That was the last line that you read.
Yeah. Wow. That was what, 10 minutes ago?
Less.
All right. Saul consults a medium. Oh, shoot. Did you heard about that? It was on the news the other day.
What?
The little... oh, my God.
It was a news.
Just forget it. I'll come back
the
to it. I'll come back to it. I'm just tripping all over myself. Just go ahead. Just go ahead, man. Just start reading.
You want me to read?
Yeah, please. I need a break.
Saul consults a medium. All right. 1 Samuel 28, verse 3. Now Samuel had died, and all Israel had mourned for him and buried him in Ramah, his own city. Saul had expelled the mediums and the wizards from the land. The Philistines assembled and came and encamped at Shunem. Saul gathered all Israel, and they encamped at Gilboa. When Saul saw the army of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart trembled greatly. When Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, not by dreams or by Urim or by prophets. Then Saul said to his servants, "Seek out for me a woman who is a medium, so that I may go to her and inquire of her." His servants said to him, "There is a medium at Endor." What, the Ewok moon?
That's why I knew we didn't read this, because somebody would have made an Ewok joke about this. Oh, but I remember what I was going to say. Did you hear about the little psychic that escaped from prison?
The psychic that escaped from prison? No.
The little psychic.
The little psychic? No.
Yeah, the small medium at large.
It's a good joke, Scott. That's the joke that you couldn't think of that you stumbled through.
You know what? Because I was like, how do I? You can't say midget. You can't say dwarf. You can't say.
But you're saying all of those things.
But I'm not saying. I'm saying you can't say them. But I'm not saying them in a way.
No, you are
I'm not saying them
them
in a way that's a problem to
all
be
right,
said.
now do the N-word. That's how I know that you're saying those words. All right.
What?
That's how I know that you just said those words.
Yeah. So the forest moon of Endor.
All right. So again, Saul is going to confront the Philistine army because the Philistines are always trying to like muscle their way in. It's like, don't they get it? They're not wanted.
Well,
They're not wanted.
Apparently, though, the Israelites aren't wanted either. They haven't taken a hint.
Canaan is closed. All right?
Canaan is closed. All right.
Go back to where you came from.
Wow. What David should propose is him building a wall between Philistines and the Canaanites.
Yeah, somebody's got to make Canaan great again.
Yeah. So Saul disguised himself and put on
No,
other
hold on.
clothes.
So Saul, again, makes the wrong choice, right? So the Bible's saying Saul's making the wrong choice. He's going to go to this like medium, which is expressly forbidden, as we've read in all the rules. Remember all those rules about witches and seers and all the words for like, you know.
But what's crazy is on the surface, he tries to be like doing the right thing. He expelled all the mediums and the wizards from the land, and then sought a medium for himself. It's like Chris Christie being on the beach with his family when all the fucking shit was closed down.
Well, I'm sorry. In fairness, that fucking whale. In fairness, all right. He went to Yahweh first. Like he was praying to Yahweh. So, see, this is what's funny. Yahweh's gonna punish Saul for going to the seer. I already see it, right? See, he's gonna punish him for going to the medium. But
as well, he should.
But Saul is in, what's that scenario in Star Trek? The unwinnable scenario?
It's fucking a Kobayashi Maru.
That's what this is. Because what is his option? Yahweh has turned his back on him. Yahweh's not going to help Saul at all.
He could be a man.
So Saul has no recourse. So Saul is desperate. He's going to his only option.
It's like when your side chick needs a fucking abortion, but you live in fucking Oklahoma, right?
It's exactly like that.
What are you gonna do?
Right.
You gotta break the rules and go somewhere else to get the abortion you outlawed for your own fucking people.
Yeah, you're just looking out for everyone's like safety and future well-being, right? You got to do what you got to do. If you got to shoot a few state troopers on the way across state lines, right?
No, what?
I was just talking about getting an abortion. I wasn't talking about capital murder.
What the fuck is wrong with you? So Saul,
I'm just saying, man, this is what the Republicans got us doing now. They got us shooting Oklahoma State troopers.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm just glad I don't even know where Oklahoma is. So it's probably very rare that I'm going to have the chance to even do it.
I've driven through the entirety of Oklahoma twice. Through the entirety. East to west. Twice.
Where is it?
Where is it?
In relation to,
it's
like,
north of Texas.
Okay. Well, Texas is like one of the southernmost states, so everything's north of Texas. You mean like directly north?
Yes.
All right. Does it border Texas?
Yes.
Okay. Does it have tornadoes?
A tremendous amount of it borders Texas.
Now that I think about Tulsa is in Oklahoma.
All right, let's move on.
I've been to Tulsa.
All right, 1 Samuel 28, verse 8. Go.
So Saul disguised himself and put on other clothes and went there. He and two men with him.
Wait. He went to like a place, or that boy went there?
Oh, shit, he went there.
Yeah. All right, I'm sorry.
He went to Endor, man.
I had to make that joke. My bad.
Do you think he went to Endor in like a stolen shuttle?
Well, the codes, you know, they're old, but they're still valid.
Check out.
Yeah, there's nothing suspicious. It's just the shield that's protecting the still unfinished fucking Death Star, because the first Death Star was blown up.
Yeah.
But yeah, come on in with your old fucking expired codes.
Yeah. And you know what? You shouldn't have even said that to Darth Vader. It's an older code, but it checks out.
Yeah.
Just say, yeah, it checks out.
Right.
Don't admit that you knew it was an older code.
And I'm sorry, Lord Vader, but I did a line of cocaine before I got on my shift. And I sort of like slept with Padme a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like dumb shit to
you
say.
know what I
Shit you
mean?
don't say to your boss when he's Darth Vader. We're going to get right back to the show. But before we do, we'd like to invite you to come visit our Patreon.
Each week, we discuss a new topic at the intersection of society and religion.
We explore the encroachment of religion onto secular institutions, such as schools, workplaces, and government.
In addition, we'll investigate whether religion practices what it preaches.
So, after this episode, head on over to patreon.com/libeltobible and join in the conversation.
And now, back to the show.
They came to the...
So today, I take my son to Forest Hills. Mm-hmm. So it's a 2 subway stop ride for us. Mm-hmm. So we get to the subway station. He gets to like
are you a local subway station guy or an express subway station guy?
Express.
Nice.
All right. So we get to the turn thing, right? I not swipe. I use, like the electronic shit now because fucking we're in fucking the 21st century finally.
You tap and go.
And so we go through together, right? And he turns around and he starts like talking about like, Mommy says, like, we shouldn't go in together, blah, 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 this and that. And, like, there's, like, two, like, fucking MTA people, like, standing there. So we get down to the bottom of the stairs. So I got to scold them. I'm like, yo, dude, you got to be situationally aware of what's going on, especially in the subway. You don't, like, walk into a bank, rob the bank, run out, and start yelling in the street, hey, everybody, I just robbed a bank. You know, so I got to teach the kid about, like, scamming the system and keeping your mouth shut.
So you were situationally aware, and you smacked the shit out of him when nobody was looking, right? You didn't do it in front of him.
I don't do that.
Nah, I know. Russ doesn't abuse his own children.
Yo, believe me. Like, you have no idea how many times over 8 years, like, I've just wanted to fucking slap the snot out of him.
Do you think it's possible?
But you don't do it.
You think it's possible that your wife set this whole thing up? Yo, next time daddy goes through you with the turnstile with you and you don't pay, say something right in front of the cops. That'll teach your husband. I mean, your father, right? He got weed.
That's when you just feign ignorance. That's when you're like, I looked up the rules on the subway and I thought it was like a certain height. I thought he was, oh, I'm sorry. Of course I'll pay. Come on, man.
That was the roller coaster at Coney Island. You were looking up, not the turnstile at the subway station. So Saul disguised himself and put on other clothes and went there, he and 2 men with him. They came to the woman by night, and he said, consult the spirit for me, and bring up for me the one whom I name to you. The woman said to him, surely you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the wizards from the land. Why then are you laying a snare for my life to bring about my death? So she's on to this dude.
Well,
no, she's not on to him, but yeah,
she doesn't know it's Saul.
Yeah, so she's like, yo, dude, man, you can't put me in this position and fucking, like, you know, you're the Gestapo. I know this.
Oh, do you think, like, she's just being slick? Like, she knows it's Saul, but she's pretending like, oh, I would never do this. You know what I mean? Saul's like...
Nah, you know, I don't think so. I think she's covering her bases. But Saul...
You think she's attractive?
But I don't know.
You didn't think about it. Is there something wrong with me that I thought about?
Yes, but you know, I mean, listen. Maybe I thought about it too. I just didn't feel the need to like point out my Neanderthalism.
Oh, I see.
But Saul swore to her by the Lord.
In other words, I'm like being forthcoming, and you're like, I see what's going on.
You're very chatty tonight. Imagine you weren't, and I wasn't either.
We are right. I mean, you want me to be chatty.
Yeah.
But I get it. You want like a certain level. Listen, you know what? We'll get a leash. We'll put it around my neck, and every time I'm talking too much, you can just yank on that leash. How about that?
We'll talk about your fantasies later, all right, man? Let's get back to the Bible, where everything's on the up and up. But Saul swore to her by the Lord, as the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing. Then the woman said, whom shall I bring up for you? He answered, bring up Samuel for me. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice, and the woman said to Saul, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. The king said to her, have no fear. What do you see? The woman said to Saul, I see a divine being coming out of the ground. He said to her, what is his appearance? She said, an old man is coming up. He is wrapped in a robe. So Saul knew that it was Samuel, and he bowed with his face to the ground and did obeisance.
It could have been Rodney Dangerfield. He like walked around in a robe, like, and no underwear.
You know how you notice
his junk exposed, just smoking weed all day.
You know how you notice isn't Rodney Dangerfield? Because this guy's showing respect. Rodney Dangerfield didn't get respect.
Oh shit! Right. That was quick, Scott. That was
man. Yeah, man.
Boy, I told you. Yeah. No respect. No respect.
So what I like is this: if he was pretending to be a normal guy, and she's like, "I can't do this; it's forbidden," and he's like, "Trust me, no harm will come to you." Like, who the fuck are you, dude? You're some dude with a fake mustache on, and you're like, I should just because you promised me nothing will happen to me. Why should I listen?
The Bible is filled with people making these declarative statements of authority, but they don't have any authority.
Right. Well, in this case, he does, but she doesn't know it.
Right. Okay. Right.
So she shouldn't have gone on and talked. He should have like pulled his mask over and said, "I'm Saul. I'm telling you, you're good."
I regret a lot of things. If we could do things all over again from the beginning, I would definitely have like some kind of like whiteboard, like a big whiteboard.
Of course, it'd be white.
And that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Really?
And I would have like categories like how many people Yahweh is responsible for killing, how many people is Moses responsible, and we would like keep track of like all of these things, and so we would keep track of these like dumb encounters that people have that make zero sense. You know what I mean? I bet you they would outnumber the amount of murders that have occurred. Well, no, it's been a lot of murders. It's been a lot of murdering.
But a lot of those murders were probably because of dumb encounters.
I mean,
yeah,
come on. A lot of those murders, people did not deserve to be dead.
What were those women wearing when they got murdered?
Fair question, Scott. Fair question. But men were killed too, and I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I guess you would. Then Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Wait a minute. So when a medium conjures somebody up,
they come out of their grave.
They're like really fucking like what the fuck? Like they really.
Yeah, it's like Marley in A Christmas Carol.
Wow, this shit is real. Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? Like what the fuck? How busy were you? You were dead.
Do you think that Yahweh forbids mediums? Because mediums can really do shit like this, but Yahweh can, and people will be like, yo, man, let's follow this medium fucking person. Yahweh ain't done shit for us.
Yeah. This medium that he just met is like...
This is like some Jedi Knight shit right here.
Ghosting right here. Saul answered...
But not even, because Force Ghosts show up like when they want to show up. She's like yanking them out of their like fucking dimension.
Yeah.
That's why Samuel shows up. He's like, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? Like, what the fuck?
Did you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, man?
No, I did not.
Oh. Well,
I saw the original movie once, a long time ago. I thought it was okay, I guess. Like, I didn't dislike it. I don't really remember a lot about it.
I don't know if I actually saw the original movie.
Yeah.
But I ended up watching the entire series in its entirety.
You liked it?
It wasn't bad. Yeah, it was better. It was much better than I thought I was gonna. Than I thought it was gonna be.
Have you read about it since?
All I've read about is Josh Whedon's apparently a real fucking dick.
Apparently, like everyone on the cast had a horrible experience.
Nice.
A horrible experience because of him.
Nice.
And how do you pronounce his first name? I hate the spelling of his name. Joss.
Joss.
What is that? Does that sound right to you? Saying Joss? Is that a real name, Joss?
Listen, if you name your kid Joss or Elon, chances are they're going to be an asshole.
What's his last name?
Whedon.
Okay. It's not Whedon?
I don't fucking
say
ask
it.
him.
Say the name.
I would say
his full name.
Josh Whedon. Oh, Josh.
Not Josh.
You're right. Joss Whedon.
It's fucking pretentious. His name cannot really be Joss. It's people can't say that. It's not natural. It doesn't sound right. It's stupid.
All right, so fuck him.
And apparently he's a piece of shit, so fuck him.
Yeah, so you're not wrong. So why did I bring up Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I don't know. We were talking about mediums and bringing people from outer dimensions.
Spoiler alert. Buffy gets killed. And they cast some sort of fucking spell and they bring her back to life. They call her up, summon her up from another dimension. When you said that, it made me think of that because she was very upset. Because she said she was in the happiest place she's ever been in her existence.
So death is cool.
And they ripped her from that.
Ah, these scumbags.
Yeah. Thinking they were doing her a favor.
What do you think she was doing?
Who cares, man? Whatever.
Do you think that there could be an end to eternal happiness?
Huh? That's just called happiness.
Doing what? If it's eternal, what will you do?
I don't think they could be. I don't know. What the fuck is eternal happiness? I don't know what the fuck that means.
Like, I don't know, taking a bike ride along the boardwalk, playing shuffleboard, playing video
this boardwalk?
games.
You don't want to be hanging out on this boardwalk.
So what I'm saying is, in the afterlife, if you're promised eternal happiness, is that even something that can actually be being eternally happy? Let's say eternity existed and you were placed into eternity. How do you spend? Like, it's got to end at some point. Like, you can't spend eternity happy. Listen, I don't see it.
You started this
Maybe
question.
I don't see it. Maybe that's my problem.
You started this premise off with, in the afterlife. So right there, I don't know. Like that, you lost me. I don't even know how that works.
So we're talking about the Bible, and the promise of the Bible is, if you fucking, choose like whatever, Christ or follow Christ, whatever the fuck Christ is going to do, okay? If you follow Christ, you're going to get into heaven and your reward will be eternal fucking, like, eternal life where you're, like, happy for eternity.
Do you think my afterlife would consist of being at an airport terminal and everybody laughing at my jokes?
If that's, like, what fills you up with happy, yes.
I wouldn't know.
That's your
I wouldn't know
heaven.
because it never happened, man.
You know what the problem with your heaven is? I would feel it would conflict with my heaven. I feel like your heaven would have me in that crowd in the airport. And that would not be like heaven for me.
And you'd be forced to laugh.
Like
like
what do you do in that situation? Like when you want to hang out with a person in heaven, but that person's like a little tired of hanging out with you, and they want to, like, is there like a duplicate you that's made?
Rusty.
Do you have to sign a waiver to duplicate yourself?
What happens?
Or is it like one of those Henrietta like Lacks situations where they just like steal your DNA?
A what?
So there's a black woman. I think her name was Henrietta Lacks.
Okay.
She's from the South, and they stole her fucking DNA.
What the fuck?
And like our entire like knowledge and study and like shit of DNA comes from her original DNA that they took without her fucking permission because she was a black woman like in the South, so fuck her.
Wow.
Yeah, you haven't heard of this?
I have not heard of this. Just one more thing. When did this happen?
Like in the 50s or 60s?
Well, listen, it was a different time.
Her name was Henrietta Lacks.
You're not supposed to be fact-checking. I'm supposed to be doing that after the episode.
She was born in 1920, and she died in 1951.
That's pretty young.
Henrietta Lacks was an African-American woman whose cancer cells are the source of the HeLa cell line, the first immortalized human cell line and one of the most important cell lines in medical research. So they took that shit from her without her permission.
But they made her the most important one.
So that's... Listen, fuck Henrietta Lacks.
So didn't we do her a favor by stealing her shit?
Yeah, I mean, listen, ultimately she was dying of cancer. She helped, like, many people. Boo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. Wow. Human rights, individual rights for fucking black people in the South. I mean, who cares, really? Here's what's important. Getting back to heaven and me being annoyed by you.
Okay, yes. Oof.
All right, so will there be a clone of me? And if there is a clone of me, will that clone be annoyed?
No, because you have to weigh. There is nobody in heaven that would be like, you know what would make my life better? A clone of Rusty. There's no way that could happen. You'd break heaven.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
I see what you think of me now.
You know, it's almost like there should be a separate place other than heaven for people like you to go to.
Oh, shit.
You know, maybe someplace different.
Like, I'm not bad enough for hell, but, like, you don't... Like the kids' table. The kids' table of heaven.
Yeah.
For idiots. Malcontents. Like, someone who doesn't deserve to burn in hell for eternity, but definitely a malcontent that doesn't belong in heaven. I get you.
Yeah.
But you belong.
Yeah. I didn't say I did.
Because you're so fucking righteous.
I'm not. I'm less wrongish than you.
Right, fair enough.
1 Samuel 28, verse 15. Then Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul answered, "I am in great distress, for the Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me and answers me no more, either by prophets or by dreams. So I have summoned you to tell me what I should do."
He's forgotten that Samuel's, like, fucking doesn't like him either.
Yeah, dude. Like, you're calling the wrong number
Like
here.
Samuel and Yahweh conspired together to fuck you over.
Samuel said, "Why then do you ask me? Since the Lord has turned from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done to you just as he spoke by me, for the Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor David. Because you did not obey the voice of the Lord and did not carry out his fierce wrath against Amalek, therefore the Lord has done this thing to you today.
That's right.
Moreover, the Lord will give Israel along with you into the hands of the Philistines.
Yep.
And tomorrow you and your sons shall be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines."
Yeah. That's right.
Yo, at what point do you hang that phone up? Like, call somebody else.
Saul didn't go there. Samuel went there.
Samuel did go there.
Samuel went all the way there.
Yo, Samuel said, "Tomorrow you and your boys will be with me." In case you're not following along, that means dead.
I gotta say, though, this. I feel terrible for Saul. Because Saul's doing his best,
I fucking
and he
hate him.
never asked for any of this.
I don't care.
You don't care.
Then do nothing.
Then do nothing.
Then do nothing. Don't do anything poorly. Do nothing.
No. You have been given the task of being the king of your people. That's got to come with tremendous responsibility, a burden.
You've worked with people like this, I'm sure, where addition by subtraction, you're better off firing a dude. The group will become more productive by actually reducing the group by one because they suck. And Saul's that kind of suck.
That's a different argument. So your argument is getting rid of him. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is this kind of treatment and like rubbing it in his face and telling him how shit he is fucked up because like you chose him because he's shit. It's kind of like parents raising a child to be a spoiled piece of shit, and then the parents complain about the child being a spoiled piece of shit. Like, whose fucking fault is that? It's your fault.
Upon further review, based on what you're saying, I get it. Yeah, I get it. You're right. Right. Saul maybe is just doing the best he can.
Saul's just like the fucking dumb jock in high school that someone was like, I'm going to make him class president as a fucking joke, as a goof.
Yeah. You know who Saul also is? He's Goliath of the Philistines. Because he was a big fucking oaf, they made him this warrior that he wasn't, and he had to play that role. And obviously he wasn't fucking good at it. It took a sling stone to kill him. So, you know what?
Wait, Goliath? He wasn't the leader of the Philistines?
He was their big ogre that fucking like
but I don't
intimidated
think he
everybody.
was their leader.
He was the guy that they
He
threatened
wasn't their
everybody.
king.
No, but he was the guy who was in a role that he didn't want to be in, and he got knocked out with a sling stone. And then his head got severed.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be there.
That was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
The lead up was better than like the fight itself.
Yeah. So, okay, well, listen. You know what? I'm going to speak honestly. I have a member of my family, a younger nephew, who turned out to be a fucking dumbass. Bad things happened to him throughout his life, and you can make excuses for certain periods of their life, like, oh, this happened to him, this happened to him.
I object to the word excuses. Go ahead. We can have that conversation like later.
We make explanations. We basically shift responsibility of his own life away from him based on, well, look what happened to him. But it reaches a point where you have to take ownership of your actions.
100% correct.
And Saul hasn't done that. He's about to. He's about to get what's coming to him.
Okay.
But
so he hasn't reckoned with the fact that every decision he's made has been an incorrect decision.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't admitted that.
yeah. And the people around him
But he sort of did to David. Remember, he prostrated himself to David and was like, "Oh, I was wrong this whole time. You're like the shit and fucking." Don't you remember that whole?
And then, by some accounts, he then tried to kill him again. We think it was the same account of a previous killing. We're not sure, but by some accounts, he tried to kill him again after fucking bowing to him.
So I figured out the Bible. Here's why people have wars over the Bible.
We're done.
The Bible is the word peruse. You say peruse, and I say peruse.
Both perusing.
Peruse.
We're perusing.
Peruse, yeah, peruse. Did you peruse the Bible? Mm-hmm. You totally perused the Bible, right? Because I perused the Bible.
Right. So you dug right into it, right? Got real deep into it, right?
Oh, I perused it.
Oh, yeah, all right. Yep, me too. Frog insurance, right? You have frog insurance, right?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it was a commercial for fraud insurance.
Yeah.
And like the guy was like, frog insurance?
Oh, okay.
We're definitely saying the same word.
Right. All right, that was good. If I would have known that reference, like I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Immediately.
I see you trying, Scott.
So I am trying.
That's an A for effort.
Immediately, Saul fell full length on the ground, filled with fear because of the word Samuel, and there was no strength in him. Because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him, for he had eaten nothing all day and all night. The woman came to Saul, and when she saw that he was terrified, she said to him, "Your servant has listened to you. I have taken my life in my hand and have listened to what you have said to me. Now, therefore, you also listen to your servant. Let me set a morsel of bread before you. Eat, that you may have strength when you go on your way." He refused and said, "I will not eat." But his servants, together with the woman, urged him, and he listened to their words. So he got up from the ground and sat on the bed. Now the woman had a fatted calf in the house.
Of course she did.
She quickly slaughtered it, and she took flour, kneaded it, and baked unleavened cakes. She put them before Saul.
I'm sorry, stop. Have you ever baked anything, Scott? That's just not like a fucking 15-minute process.
No, baking's like chemistry, man. Baking
Like, there's
is
like a whole, like, this is
Yeah.
hours. We're talking about, like, there's a fatted calf. I'm assuming she's got to slaughter it. Then she's got to butcher it. Like, how, like, what amount of time?
Wait. And if this goes on, is it like you just walk over to someone's house? Hey, Joey, what's going on? You walk into his house and there's literally blood everywhere. His guts. He's got cleavers in his fucking hands. Like, this is what goes on back then? Oh, what are you doing? Oh, just, cleaving a fucking fat calf.
I mean, is it really that different from a house in Crown Heights? Like, just walk into any random house in Borough Park,
I don't
Crown
know.
Heights.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So those bloody cleavered messes over there? She put them before Saul and his servants, the unleavened cakes, and they ate. Then they rose and went away that night. So Saul just got some bad fucking news.
1 Samuel 29. I'm sorry, what's going on?
No, nothing. Nothing was going on.
Were you going to say something?
No, I was just like,
Oh, like you exhaled?
Yeah.
That was a lot
That was a lot, man.
of reading?
Yeah, it was a lot of reading.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Did you like when I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like, yeah. There is nothing like
Maybe I need you to rally behind me like that. Yeah.
when it's like a black congregation and they're like giving a sermon and there's like a whole group of like hype people around like the person speaking and they're like, yeah, that's right.
That's good.
Speak it.
That's good, man.
And it's like, and that goes on. I fucking love that.
It's empowering, man.
If we need anyone in the studio with us, that's what we need.
Okay.
We need someone like that, like hyping us up. You know
So
what I mean?
So we have 8 other people in the studio plus a hype crew.
No one. That's what I'm saying is all those other ideas were stupid because they came from other people. We just need my idea.
How many hype people?
Smart because it came from me.
How many hype people?
Just one.
All right, a good hype person.
Oh, I see what you're saying because they usually there's like a whole chorus of them.
All right, it's got to be 1 or 2.
What do you
1 or
think?
3.
Like
I don't know, 3.
3?
Yeah.
Let's start off with 3, and then we'll take it from there.
Sounds good,
Just
man.
like people like, yeah, that's right. 1 Samuel 29. You all right, Scott?
I am right. I'm all
You
right.
sure, man?
Just
You all
fucking
right,
go,
man? Are you all right? The Philistines reject David. Now the Philistines gathered all their forces at Aphek, while the Israelites were encamped by the spring that is in Jezreel. As the lords of the Philistines were passing on by hundreds and by thousands, and David and his men were passing on in the rear with Achish, the commanders of the Philistines said, "What are these Hebrews doing here?" Achish said to the commanders of the Philistines, "Is this not David, the servant of King Saul of Israel, who has been with me now for days and years? Since he deserted to me, I have forced no fault in him to this day, found no fault in him to this day."
Reread that sentence. That was an abortion you're not allowed to have anymore.
Achish said to the commanders of the Philistines, "Is this not David, the servant of King Saul of Israel, who has been with me now for days and years? Since he deserted to me, I have found no fault in him to this day."
Yeah.
But the commanders of the Philistines were angry with him.
Boo.
And the commanders of the Philistines said to him, "Send the man back, so that he may return to the place that you have assigned to him. He shall not go down with us to battle, or else he may become an adversary to us in the battle. For how could this fellow reconcile himself to his Lord? Would it not be with the heads of the men here? Is this not David, of whom they sing to one another in dances? Saul has killed his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Then Achish... All right. Sorry, that would have been perfect if, like... Yeah, I didn't laugh. I fucked that up. All right. Let's do it all over again. No, just kidding. All right, I'm going to go on.
All right. You worked that all out in your head out loud now?
Shh.
Sorry.
Then Achish called David and said to him, "As the Lord lives, you have been honest, and to me it seems right that you should march out and to me it seems right that you should march out and in with me in the campaign. For I have found nothing wrong in you from the day of your coming to me until today. Nevertheless, the lords do not approve of you. So go back now, and go peaceably. Do nothing to displease the lords of the Philistines." David said to Achish, "But what have I done? What have you found in your servant from the day I entered your service until now, that I should not go and fight against the enemies of my lord the king?" Achish replied to David, "I know that you are as blameless in my sight as an angel of God. Nevertheless, the commanders of the Philistines have said, 'He shall not go up with us to the battle.' Now then, rise early in the morning, you and the servants of your lord who came with you, and go to the place that I appointed for you. As for the evil report, do not take it to heart, for you have done well before me. Start early in the morning and leave as soon as you have light." So David set out with his men early in the morning to return to the land of the Philistines. But the Philistines went up to Jezreel. David's a fucking scumbag, not for nothing.
Okay, I'll let you express that. Why so?
Because he has turned his back on his people, and there's a special bond that his people have with one another and with him. Like, he's spoken to the Lord. He summoned the Lord directly.
Okay. My problem with this whole thing is I can try and be all for America, all for America, all for America, but if Joe Biden tries to kill me every time he fucking sees me, I might have to go to fucking Russia. And if the fucking... I was a fucking war hero. I cut off Goliath's head, and Joe Biden's still trying to kill me. What the fuck is that all about?
Right.
I'm going to go hang out and fucking with Putin.
But you don't go fight against America. And you don't, because you're not fighting Joe Biden. You're fighting the people. Right, so you're going to go and kill, like, Americans because they're being fucking forced to go fight by Joe Biden?
And this is why we need to have these conversations, because right now...
Because you're a hothead.
Yeah.
Leroy Jenkins!
But I cool quickly when I'm throwing like a proverbial splash of water on my face.
Well, it's not just that. It also has to come from someone like you trust. Like, it can't just be from, like, you know.
Right.
Because you're your hothead. You're probably having, like, a lot of hothead conversations with other hotheads.
I might.
So, like, heads are too hot for, like, anything.
Yeah. All right.
No one's there to cool anyone else down.
Yeah, you might be right.
1 Samuel 30.
But before we go, all right. So I was cooling off. That was my cooling off period.
Good.
I can totally understand how the Philistines are telling Achish, like, "Yo, dude, what's up with the dude? Why is the dude that killed Goliath like your right hand man? What the fuck? He's gonna betray us. Absolutely. They have every right to be doubtful of this situation.
Bro,
they don't know this dude.
I'm 100% with you. There's no...
You better be.
Like, why would they trust David? Like, and his men, no less.
Yeah,
they don't know. Like, no. It's like... This is what it's like, bro. It's like the meetings of the 5 families of New York, the mafia, right? They fucking convene. Everyone there is a made member. You don't, like, bring a friend of yours and have him sit in the meeting. You know what I mean? It's for friends of ours, not friends of yours.
Yeah. Perfect analogy. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, your friend... Yo, we respect your friend. We're not going to kill him, but he's got to sit this one out because we don't know him yet.
That's perfect. And Achish should have known fucking better, too.
He was a hothead like you. He was convinced. The guy convinced him, and then Achish was like, "Yo, like you got to turn back."
1 Samuel 30. David avenges the destruction of Ziklag.
I love that name.
Now, when David and his
Ziklag.
men came to Ziklag on the 3rd day, the Amalekites had made a raid on the Negeb and on Ziklag. They had attacked Ziklag, burned it down, and taken captive the women and all who were in it, both small and great.
So hold on, the Amalekites are another like Canaanite group, like, and they're attacking the Philistine village of Ziklag.
Is that confirmed?
So David's returning to Ziklag. So this is my understanding: is David and his men came to Ziklag on the 3rd day. So they've left like the battle. They arrive at this place called Ziklag, which the Amalekites had made a raid on the Negeb and on Ziklag. So Yeah, so this is the Amalekites are a different group from the Philistines. So there's all these different tribes.
All right,
The Israelites are the largest.
So the Amalekites are Israelites?
No, the
Oh, they're not.
Amalekites
Okay.
are Canaanites.
Oh, right, okay. And the Negeb and Ziklag are Philistine strongholds or Israelite strongholds?
Philistine.
Okay.
Because David is returning to Ziklag, which is a Philistine city. Because he's with the Philistines.
Right.
Or he's not with the Philistines. He's with that one guy who gave him, sanctuary.
He made him his bodyguard.
Right.
They had attacked Ziklag, burned it down, and taken captive the women and all who were in it, both small and great. They killed none of them.
I'm sorry. And
but
taken
carried
captive, who were both small. Go ahead.
They killed none of them, but carried them off and went their way. When David and his men came to the city, they found it burned down, and their wives and sons and daughters taken captive. Then David and the people who were with him raised their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep. David's 2 wives also had been taken captive. Anahom of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. David was in great danger, for the people spoke of stoning him, because all the people were bitter in spirit for their sons and daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. Yeah, right. Self-explanatory. We ain't got a comment on that. We keep it
So
moving.
everything sounds like it's kind of like the beginning of Braveheart when everyone is just wrecked in the village and everything is all fucked up. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. Had David not been sent away by Achish,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been there to find the city burned down, right? He got there pretty quickly after it happened, but he might have gotten there months later, and the trail would have been cold. We wouldn't know who fucking did it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Achish did this guy a favor. So wait. David did himself a favor by escaping to Achish. Achish did David a favor by making him his bodyguard. The Philistines did David a favor by getting pissed at Achish for being there. Then Achish did him the ultimate favor and sent him back home to find out his wives had been stolen.
Pay it. That's why you pay it forward, Scott. That's why you pay it forward. See, you see how it works?
David said to the priest...
Have you ever heard of a movie called Old Boy?
No.
It's a crazy movie. I'm not going to tell you, but the basic premise is how a conversation that you have that means nothing to you, just like a throwaway conversation when you're 17 years old, comes back to bite you fucking 40 years later because that conversation wasn't significant to you, but the person you told it to, it wasn't significant to them, but they had a conversation with someone else and mentioned it, and that exploded. And so it's kind of yeah.
Yo, imagine my 17-year-old self said something to your 17-year-old self, and I said something really inflammatory, those people over there, fucking I hate them, they're the reason everything's wrong, somebody should fuck them up, blah, 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 blah. And you tell the same story to a 17-year-old, and then literally, you said, can you imagine 50 years later, you find out this dude killed those people based off of the strength of that nonsense 17-year-old conversation?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I just pretty much repeated everything you just said.
Well, except you added a whole scenario, you gave it a finality, the murder angle.
Yeah.
I wasn't even talking about a murder angle.
David said to the priest Abiathar, son of Amalek,
Ahimelech.
Bring me the ephod. So Admiral Akbar brought the ephod to David. David inquired of the Lord, shall I pursue this band? Shall I overtake them?
Is he going to a fish tour?
He answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake and shall surely rescue. So David set out.
Yo, so God's responding to him fucking immediately. David's asking Yahweh, and Yahweh's right away yeah.
So
Yahweh's picking up the phone, bro, on the first ring.
Yeah. So wait. This is Yahweh answering him directly, or the priest? I don't really know.
David inquired of the capital L Lord.
I did not even realize the gravity of the words I was speaking.
He then answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake and shall surely rescue.
So David
First
set
ring,
out.
bro.
Yeah. So David set out. He and the 600 men who were with him. They came to the Wadi Besor, where those stayed who were left behind. But David went on with the pursuit. He and 400 men, 200 stayed behind, too exhausted to cross the Wadi Basor. All right. 400 should be enough, right? In the open country, they found an Egyptian. Oh, boy, here we go. And brought him to David. Could you imagine this is the Egyptian that Abraham supposedly killed? And he really didn't kill him? This guy just went off and like it was all false. It's all based on a false narrative.
And now it's like 1,500 years later, and that magician is still alive?
Yeah, that Egyptian.
Or Egyptian, I'm
well,
sorry.
it would be the Egyptian magician, yeah.
I was thinking of the Egyptian magician from the Jerky Boys. Oh, I wake up at dentist. My pants pulled down.
In the open country, they found an Egyptian and brought him to David. They gave him bread, and he ate. They gave him water to drink. They also gave him a piece of fig cake and 2 clusters of raisins. When he had eaten, his spirit revived, for he had not eaten bread or drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. Then David said to him, "To whom do you belong? Where are you from?"
How come it's always 3 days and 3 nights? How come it's never like, 2 days and 3 nights?
Didn't we discuss,
or 1 day and 2 nights? It's always 3 and 3.
I don't know. You know what I was told when I was younger?
That's
I was told some racist shit when I was younger. That Asians always travel in 3s. I was told that when I was younger.
I have never heard that stereotype.
That was weird.
That is, you know why, bro?
No, I have no idea why.
It just
I
came to
never
me.
saw any
Yo, it just came to me.
By the way, just a little
Because
back.
there's an Asian gang called the Triads.
Were they around in the 70s?
The Triads? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe their predecessors were there.
So you were told this in the 70s when you were like 4.
I was like a kid. Yeah.
It's like the first wisdom words of advice given to you.
Yeah,
hey, kid.
And it stuck with me because I remember always like thinking about it when I saw I listen. I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood.
Yeah.
There were not many people of color. There weren't people that looked different than me.
Uh-huh.
And so anytime I noticed Asians, I always went 1, 2. No, that's 2. 1, 2, 3. No, that's 4. I'm like, who the fuck told me that? Mm-hmm. And they said it with such conviction that it stuck with me as a child, and I never found it to be true. It was weird.
You know what's amazing about your story? The fact that Queens is the most diverse place on the planet. There are more languages spoken in our whatever the square mileage of Queens is than any place on Earth.
Yeah, it's crazy. But in the 70s, there were parts, I guess, that were predominantly certain ethnic groups, and I was in a predominantly white American ethnic group.
Queens was like the suburbs to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So people who worked in Brooklyn, there was, you took the Jackie Robinson, which was then the Interborough Parkway, and then you would go into your home after work.
You know what I hate? I hated that they renamed that highway.
The Jackie?
Yeah.
I love the Jackie. I don't mind naming it the Jackie.
Well, not now, but I always I liked it being called the Interborough because it went from Brooklyn to Queens. Right. It went between the boroughs. It made sense.
I understand.
If you want to rename a highway, rename the Grand Central Parkway. Yeah. That doesn't say where the fuck it goes.
That's true.
Just fucking they renamed the Tri-Borough Bridge.
I know. A stupid name. RFK. Who the fuck is RFK to New York? You know what I mean?
Nobody fucking knows.
Yeah.
Right? And it connected 3 boroughs.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? The Brooklyn Battery Tunnel.
Right.
Who the fuck? I'm like, it's the Hugh Carey Tunnel? Who the fuck is Hugh Carey?
Yeah.
I don't know. It connected Brooklyn to the Battery. Rename the Clearview Expressway, the Grand Central. It's shit that we don't know where it fucking goes.
Also, they should stop naming shit after people because it becomes problematic when dirt gets dug up about you know what I mean? Because invariably someone in a position that their name goes on a public road or bridge, there's dirt on that person. You know what I mean? You don't get to those positions where you're that accomplished and known without fucking dirt.
And then 100 years from now, people realize that dirt. They go to tear the name off the bridge, and they're like, "What the fuck? They can't just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's our history.
It's our relation history."
Yeah. So he raped the slaves and forced them to have abortions and who cares?
While outlawing my side piece from having an abortion.
Yeah. It's our history.
That David said to him.
That's my grandpappy you're talking about.
Oh, boy, here we go.
And I'll be gosh darn mad if you take down the statue of Foghorn Leghorn. He's our most accomplished actor here.
You were doing so well this episode. Then David said to him.
I said, boy.
I'm going to learn you how.
Right. Don't complain to me, Iodine. Complain to fucking Looney Tunes.
I think people already made those complaints, man. You're the new voice that needs to be shut the fuck up. To whom do you belong? Where are you from? He said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to an Amalekite. I fucking hate it.
Amalekite.
My master left me behind because I fell sick 3 days ago.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, really. We had made a raid on the Negeb. You shouldn't be giving up this information. We made a raid on the Negeb.
Well, why not? He doesn't give a fuck. He's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Of the Sherethites, and on that which belongs to Judah, and on the Negeb of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag down. David said to him, will you take me down to this raiding party? He said, swear to me by God that you will not kill me or hand me over to my master, and I will take you down to them.
Yeah, see, he knows he's like not supposed to be giving up this information. He ain't no dummy.
All right, he played his cards well because
he's a willing participant.
Yeah, he might have been murdered if had he not.
Yeah.
All right.
You know how these Egyptians be.
When he had taken him down, they were spread out all over the ground, eating and drinking and dancing. Because
by the way, you know we have listeners in Egypt.
Not anymore. Because of the great amount of spoil they had taken from the land of the Philistines and from the land of the Judah. Okay, now that I'm done with that sentence, so we actually have listeners in Egypt?
Yes.
Nice. A lot? We don't know.
I don't know.
I hope it's a lot.
In multiple cities, like in different cities. And I checked the cities to make sure it's not just someone commuting. No, that's like, in different cities.
Wow,
like,
did you really?
Yeah. Like Sweden. I started doing that with Sweden because I saw in Sweden, like there was like one guy in the beginning and it was like close. The cities were close. So it was probably like the same person who was like maybe commuting. But then like they started popping up like all over Sweden. So I was like, oh shit. Like, so in Sweden we have like, I don't know, 7 or 8 like cities spread apart.
People are so worried about their governments tracking them. You got a dude in a podcasting fucking studio.
Yeah, but I don't know their addresses yet. Yeah. Sure. So people are safe for now.
Yeah, so they were drinking and dancing and chilling out. David attacked them from twilight until the evening of the next day. Not one of them escaped, except 400 young men.
Stop.
Not one of them escaped, except 400 young men who mounted camels and fled.
So what was the number of men? It must have been thousands, right?
Had to be a
must
lot,
have been
man.
tens of thousands. If they said only 400, then it must have been tens of thousands.
Yeah, David ain't attacking anything
What's
small.
an acceptable number to say only 400? What's the minimum acceptable number to start with when you say only 400?
5,712 minimum.
All right. So approaching 6,000, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to round.
I say 10.
If you don't want to do the work. All right.
Fair enough.
David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken, and David rescued his 2 wives. Nothing was missing, whether small or great, sons or daughters, spoil or anything that had been taken. David brought back everything. David also captured all the flocks and herds which were driven ahead of the other cattle. People said, this is David's spoil. So, did David have a ledger of everything in the fucking town? Like, how did he know he recovered everything? I can't believe that.
Yahweh's his secretary, man. Yahweh's keeping track of all this.
This is David or David's people telling a story to hype up how great he is.
Word.
Yo, and maybe this didn't even happen. Maybe he's the Curtis Sliwa of the old...
What? Wait. I'm sorry.
Maybe he's the Curtis Sliwa of its time. You know that story, right?
No.
For the people in New York that... not in New York.
That did himself up, like faked it?
Yeah. Curtis Sliwa, who ran for mayor...
He was the head of the Guardian. He started the Guardian Angels,
which was a group of young men and women, vigilantes that were unarmed at all times. So they didn't want to have that impression that they were evil.
Because back in the late 70s, Kung Fu was popular.
Yeah.
And everyone thought they knew Kung Fu because they went to the store down on the corner and bought a karate star.
You saw the Warriors.
And nunchucks.
The Warriors was real. Right? So they all wore berets, and they were a watchdog group. They were community. They labeled themselves like as a community watch group.
There was a lot of crime on the subway. New York was like broke in the 1970s. There was a lot of crime, and so they would like ride the subways and like intimidate people into not like committing crimes with their presence.
Right. And the way they got like really on the record on the map was they recovered a stolen wallet some guy got his wallet stolen on the subway. They recovered it. It came out years later that they staged the whole thing.
Okay.
just to
So
show,
it was like a PR stunt in
Yeah.
order to like get their name out there. I've got no hate for that. If
No,
they're
I
actually
don't
like
either.
on the job, if they're doing shit.
But
Curtis Lee was a complete fucking like not a complete idiot, but he's buffoonish.
He's batshit buffoonish.
He's buffoonish. He's like the crazy like uncle who like you go visit every once in a while like in the projects, who like spews like crazy conspiracy shit.
And like halfway through the fucking Thanksgiving dinner, you're just like, dude, please turn it down a notch. You can't have this level of energy for this amount of time.
Nah.
Then David came to the 200 men who had been too exhausted to follow David and who had been left at the Wadi Besor. They went out to meet David and to meet the people who were with him. When David drew near to the people, he saluted them.
So he fought all night. He ain't tired, but his men are fucking exhausted, it seems like.
These 200 guys remind me of the guys that were like on the deck of the fucking aircraft carrier when Maverick and Iceman land at the end of Top Gun. That's them, like cheering, like we're back to spoil. Then all the corrupt and worthless fellows among the men who had gone with David said, because they did not go with us, we will not give them any of the spoil that we have recovered, except that each man may take his wife and children and leave.
That's all.
But David said, you shall not do so, my brothers. With what the Lord has given us, he has preserved us and handed over to us the raiding party that attacked us. Who would listen to you in this matter? For the share of the one who goes down into the battle shall be the same as the share of the one who stays by the baggage. They shall share alike. From that day forward, he made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel. It continues to the present day. All right, so basically, 400 men went, 200 men stayed behind. When they came back, the 200 men were like, yeah, give us our stuff. And some of the dicks in the 400 were like, fuck you, we did the work. You sat here sleeping by the fucking water. Fuck you. And Dave was like, nah, that ain't right, man.
Share and share alike.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe next time you're going to be the tired one that can't
Communist.
go any further.
He's a commie.
Well, you know what? It's not even that. It's
No
just
wonder the Europeans are so fucking enthralled with David and his nudity. Because he's a fucking commie. I see what's going on.
I'm just saying, the next time David calls up 600 people out of the fucking blue to go after people, maybe you'll be the tired one and you can't go on.
Right.
You went 3 fucking other times. I can't go this time and now I can't get some of the spoil?
Right.
Fuck you.
It's the first union.
Ah.
Yeah, because every union has like the majority of the people who are like hardworking, and then you've got like the scumbags who take advantage of the fact that like nothing will ever happen to them because other people will always pick up the slack because they're responsible. So they're just pieces of shit, and they pretend like we're supposed to like be their friends and like fucking, you know what I mean? Like fuck those people.
Yo, as a UFL, I was a union member as well, and I was a union delegate for a little while. And 90% of a union delegate's job is to fight the battles for 10% of pieces of shit you wish they would just fucking fire.
Like most of the time, like there's like real shit that like, someone's getting their shit fucked by like the company, but then it's like that 10% of the time that you feel dirty having to like fucking defend like a scumbag.
When David came to Ziklag, he sent part of the spoil to his friends, the elders of Judah, saying, here is a present for you from the spoil of the enemies of the Lord. So he's kicking it upstairs.
I'm sorry. When David came to Ziklag, he sent part of the spoil to his friends, the elders of Judah, saying, here's a present for you from the spoil.
Friends of ours, you got to kick it upstairs to the elders.
Listen, it could also be like he's sort of beginning to establish his own fiefdom or kingdom. So he's trying to like set up alliances maybe with like his peoples back home, like get
Not
a
a
little
bad move.
trade going. Like, listen, I'm not saying I'm going to fucking join you guys again, but I'm saying like, the lines of communication are open.
Maybe I'm not a
We
scumbag.
got some foreskins for sale over here,
gross.
If you want me to get
Foreskins?
some
Get
if
your
you
fresh
want me to,
foreskins.
If you need any foreskins, I'll gladly go and chop off foreskins.
It was for those in Bethel, in Ramoth of the Negeb, in Jatir, in Aurora, in Sipmoth, in Eshtemoa, in Rakal, in the towns of the Jeremielites, in the town of the Kenites, in the Hormah,
Scott's about to
in
pass out.
Bor Ashan, in Echach, in Hebron, all the places where David and his men had roamed.
They could have just said that. They could have just said in all the places they had roamed.
I guess it's important to
Name all of them.
name some of them so you understand the dimension of it.
Maybe. Or, counterpoint, these fucking, the Jewish, like, rabbis who wrote this, or priests, whatever they were called. I don't know if they were called rabbi. I don't know when they started being called rabbis. when they wrote this, right, the people in these towns, like, it's like a shout out to them. It's like a hip hop song, you know? You want to shout out, like, all the fucking hood and, like, you know, the block and, like, you know, like all that shit.
The heart of rock and roll is in Cleveland.
That's not hip hop, bro. Like, if you want to, I thought you would go to like BDP or something, you know, where he's like actually like naming people and neighborhoods.
Brooklyn keeps on taking it. The Bronx keeps creating it, and Queens keeps on faking it. All right. Yeah.
All right. So the last chapter of 1 Samuel. We're about to close
this is a season finale.
We're closing it out. That's right.
Oh, shit.
It is. It's a season finale.
Yeah, all right. We don't need to hype it up, man.
I mean, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, we did. Not as soon as I saw that we were at the last chapter, like we did talk about that.
And then we read off like the chapter titles.
Yeah.
All right. 1 Samuel 31. The death of Saul and his sons. That's the way to close it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't like red wedding that shit like the third episode in the season.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking crazy. All right.
Yeah.
The death of Saul and his sons. Is there a spoiler alert like timeline on that? So like, can I talk about the red wedding?
Yes.
I can.
Yeah.
The time has passed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why it doesn't even matter anymore. I will never rewatch that show again ever, because no matter how good the first like 4 seasons were, what they did the last like 2 seasons spoiled the show for me so badly that none of it, like that beginning part, as good as it was, doesn't matter anymore because the characters are all buffoonish.
Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, fuck them.
Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines, and many fell on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines overtook Saul and his sons, and the Philistines killed Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchishua, the sons of Saul. The battle pressed hard on Saul, and the archers found him, and he was badly wounded by them. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and thrust me through with it, so that these uncircumcised may not come and thrust me through and make sport of me." Is he worried about them thrusting him through with their uncircumcised schlongs?
Maybe.
But his armor-bearer was unwilling, for he was terrified. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell on his sword and died with him. So Saul and his 3 sons and his armor-bearer and all his men died together on the same day. It's like Custer. When the men of Israel, who were on the other side of the valley, and those beyond the Jordan saw that the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook their towns and fled, and the Philistines came and occupied them. That's
Bye-bye,
heavy duty
Saul.
shit, man.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Saul. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't care.
It's not just Saul. It's the greater implication of the Israelites fleeing these towns and the Philistines taking over these territories.
What I'm liking so far about 1 Samuel, I guess, the end of 1 Samuel, since it's over, is they go into detail. I hate when, like, at the end of chapters...
They're narratives.
The end of the chapters where they're like, and the Israelites were under the yoke of some other ites for 45 years with no details. Like, this is like, you see it coming. Like,
yeah, this is an actual, like, book, a short story, like...
Yeah, this is real.
Oh, yeah, this happened. For sure. You know how I know?
Yeah.
It's in the Bible.
It's in the Bible, yes.
It's in the Bible. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. It's like the end of Glory. You ever see Glory?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Is that with Matthew Broderick?
Matthew
leading,
Broderick,
like, a
Denzel
troop of black
Washington.
soldiers?
Yes, it's a true story. He plays Colonel Robert Shaw. Like, it's based on the letters that Robert Shaw sent to his parents during the war. He was in command of the 1st Black Regiment that saw, like, battle.
Interesting.
Never saw it?
I didn't. I heard it was pretty good.
Fucking amazing movie. Great movie. That happened to them. They all got killed, and then the next day, like, whatever. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They cut off his head, stripped off his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to carry the good news to the houses of their idols and to the people. They put his armor in the temple of Astarte. Go ahead.
The Astartes, that's another god.
Is it?
Yeah, the Astartes.
So the Philistines, there you go. So Astarte is plural, by the way. So they put his armor in the temple of Astarte. So there's probably like lots of gods.
Oh,
because
it's
they're
like a pantheon?
Philistines,
It's a
bro.
pantheon,
They're,
okay.
you know, they don't fucking know any better.
I think they did say in plural, they said Astartes at one point.
Well,
So,
now
yeah.
it's Astarte, and the footnote is that it's plural.
Now they're French and fancy.
They put his armor...
It's octopi, not octopuses.
They put his armor in the temple of Astarte, and they fastened his body to the wall of Beth-shan.
Ew.
But when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men set out, traveled all night long, and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Beth-shan. They came to Jabesh and burned them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days.
Do you think when they cut Saul's head off, they were like, "For Goliath"? You know, like a...
I didn't, but I do now.
Yeah,
That
you
will forever be in my
Yeah.
imagination now.
Yeah. So who were these clowns that went and took the body back? Like,
See, you call them clowns, and I was just about to speak to... for as shitty as our perception of Saul was, he had his followers. He was like the Donald Trump of his day. No matter how many dumb, stupid fucking decisions he made, he had a group of people who just would not listen to any fucking sense or reason, who were so dug in and so pig-headed and fucking just dumb fucking idiots. Same thing.
past tense, right?
Yeah, you know. Well, no, I mean, there's good people on both sides.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm fine with this. Like, they took his head off and then they put their bodies on the wall. That's just weird and gross, and it's gonna smell very quickly. So these people that came and took the bodies and burned them actually did the Philistines a favor.
Look, PR and getting your name out there, right? Like that story that you were telling me about, like Curtis Lewa faking like the fucking, you know, you got to get your name out there, right? But PR gets refined. It's not like people like came up with PR and it was like refined and what it is today.
Right.
So people had to fuck. So like back then, people were like,
advertising
"Oh,
agencies.
we're gonna fucking show how fucking kick ass we are. Cut off that guy's head and like put it up on display." He's not like, he's a hothead like you. He's not he's not thinking about, like, you know, women and children are going to be like, well, maybe they might not want to see it on their way to market. You know? He's trying. The next guy was like, you know, I don't think that really worked last time. You know, let's try just the head without the body. Let's put the head on a pike. You know, so it took refining over years.
All right, it makes sense.
Then they were like, you know what? Maybe let's not put it in town. Let's put it like on the road into town to like warn people. Yeah, like they kept toying with it.
I saw a great meme of it was UFO landed, like a flying saucer, and a couple of grays got out. Right, it's three of them looking at like the crucifix. Like a body, like a Jesus Christ on it. And one of the aliens says to the other, goes, "You know what we need to do? Get the fuck out of here is what we need to do."
Like, holy shit. All right, you know what we need to do?
What do we need to do?
We need to get the fuck out of here.
Why?
Well, the season's over.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we're going to see everyone next season.
After the break.
Whenever the fuck that is.
All right, peace.
Fuck off.